Alright, let's dive into something that's been brewing in the political arena. And trust me, it's a lot more fascinating than your average parliamentary update. Imagine this. The monsoon session of Parliament is wrapping up, and the tension between the government and the opposition is thicker than a Delhi summer. But what's really grabbing my attention here? It's not just the usual back and forth. It's the deeper dynamics at play, the unspoken power struggles, and the way this reflects broader trends in Indian politics. So let's break it down. First off, Rahul Gandhi's statement that neither the Prime Minister nor the Home Minister has the courage to come to the House. That's a bold claim, right? Personally, I think what makes this really interesting is the subtext. It's not just about attendance. It's about accountability. The opposition is essentially calling out the government for what they see as a lack of transparency, especially regarding the police action against students. And let's be honest, this isn't just a political skirmish. It's a reflection of how deeply polarized our public discourse has become. What many people don't realize is that these kinds of statements aren't just about scoring points. They're about framing the narrative. The opposition is trying to position itself as the voice of the voiceless, while the government is likely strategizing to maintain control over the agenda. Now let's talk about the FCRA Bill. K.C. Venugopal's warning that the Congress and other opposition parties will strongly protest if the bill is introduced. This is where things get even more intriguing. The FCRA Bill, for those who might not know, deals with foreign funding for NGOs. On the surface, it's about regulation, but if you take a step back and think about it, it's also about control. The government sees this as a way to ensure accountability, but the opposition views it as a tool to silence dissent. What this really suggests is that the battle lines aren't just drawn over policy, they're drawn over ideology. And that's a much bigger, more complex issue. Another detail I find fascinating is Rijiju's response to the opposition's demands for a debate on the student protests. He essentially said, "Don't run away, don't get scared when Shah speaks." Now, this isn't just a snappy comeback. It's a tactical move. By framing the opposition's reluctance as fear, the government is trying to shift the narrative. But here's the thing. It also reveals a certain defensiveness. If the government was completely confident in its position, would it need to resort to such rhetoric? This raises a deeper question. How much of this is about actual governance, and how much is about political posturing? Then there's Rahul Gandhi's comment about Amit Shah and the shooting of students. He said, "We are interested if he authorized or didn't authorize the shooting of our children." This is heavy stuff, and it's not just about the incident itself. It's about the symbolism. By framing it as a question of authorization, Gandhi is directly implicating Shah, and by extension the entire government, in what happened. What makes this really interesting is how it ties into the broader narrative of state power versus individual rights. It's not just a political attack, it's a moral question. And that's why it resonates so strongly. Finally, let's talk about the silence from PM Modi and Amit Shah. Karj's observation that there's pure silence from both of them is more than just a criticism. It's a strategic move by the opposition to highlight what they see as a lack of leadership. Personally, I think this silence is deliberate. The government is likely calculating that staying quiet is the best way to avoid escalating the issue. But here's the thing. In politics, silence can be just as loud as words. It can be interpreted as indifference, arrogance, or even guilt. And that's a risk the government is clearly willing to take. So if you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just another parliamentary session. It's a microcosm of the larger tensions shaping Indian politics today. It's about accountability, control, and the battle for narrative supremacy. What this really suggests is that the lines between governance and politics are blurring, and that's something we all need to pay attention to. Because in the end, it's not just about who wins the argument, it's about what kind of democracy we're building. And with that, I'll leave you with this question. What do you think this session reveals about the state of Indian politics? Is it a sign of a healthy democracy, or something more troubling? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and stay curious.